Hello, this video is to present an information system for the services department based on OpenERP. First of all, just a brief explanation of what is OpenERP. OpenERP is an enterprise resource planning software, that is an ERP, that contains a full suite of business applications, including all the main modules in that kind of software like sales, accounting, CRM, invoicing, manufacturing, human resource, marketing, point of sale, purchasing, dashboards, warehouse management, whatever. And OpenERP is an open source software, so the cost of licensing is completely nothing, it's totally free, and we just have to pay for customizations, development, support, and if needed, storage. The main purpose of this project is to develop a system that can serve as the main point of information for the different stakeholders in EMEA and LATAM service department, as can be asset managers, legal department, O&M, where we have organized all this useful information regarding projects, contracts, third parties, contacts, having at the end reporting capabilities, KPIs, alert, and that kind of things. The idea is to extract structured information coming from the contracts, giving categories to each clause contained in the contract, and being able to do searches, automate alarms based on this data, and even at the end feed a P&L forecast in the future, since contracts have the billing and invoicing information and the prices. The reason to use OpenERP for this is that developments are really cost effective in OpenERP, and we could take advantage of the typical ERP features contained in the standard. Even at the end, we could connect with Oracle. For now, we are recovering information on 35 type of contracts like O&M, sub-O&M documents, warranties. You can see the list below in almost 300 documents. The content inside this contract has been categorized in a structured tree of 230 categories defined by the legal team. So let's take a look into the system. Well, first you see the login page where we introduce the login and the password. We click on third parties and we see a list with all the companies involved in the contract. We can, for example, look for a concrete SPV, in this case called Carpio. And click on it to see the details. You can find here information on this SPV and also information about the contacts related with this SPV, this partner. And see it also in a list mode. And here are some of the ERP features that for now we are not using. Maybe it's interesting to see here the contracts where this partner appears and its role on it. That's a little explanation about third parties, and now we click on the second item of the menu to see the list of the plans or projects. We can use these filters in the upper part of the screen to see, for example, the plans managed by a concrete asset manager in a concrete country and also a concrete zone, for example. Here the country, Spain in this case, and the zone, Lleida. And now we go to see the detail of one of these plans, Palau one. As you see here, you have the internal code, if it's a ground or roof installation, the size, if it's built by San Edison or a third party, some of the information about the components inside the plan, as are the modules, the number of the modules, inverter, the combiner boxes, that kind of things. Also the initial date for the plan and the main partners. And as we have information about the location of the plant, we can directly click on map to see how it looks the plant in Google Maps. Here, find a list with all the contracts for this plant. Okay, so more interesting things, the grouping capability. For example, you can group all the results of your search by asset manager, and you can see the number of plans of each asset manager. Also, maybe it's interesting, group by asset manager and investor. So you will find all the results separated by asset manager and investor. Or different way, you can group by investor and after this by asset manager. So you can see for this investor, these people are the one that are driving the plan. And the same for countries and zones. It's really interesting to see for each country the total size for all the plans, see all the plans for Spain in this case, or even organize it by country and zone. You can see the number of plants for each zone, the size. Well, we go now to the item contracts in the menu. You see, of course, a list of contracts. You can, as in the other screens, use the filters to look, for example, for the O&M contracts only, or something particular, the novations, only the O&M contract that are novations, or only the site letters that are modification to these O&M contracts. and also use the grouping functionalities to do something very interesting. That is, okay, give me the number of contracts by type. I can see all the owning contracts, sub-owning contracts, service agreement, the warranties. Here all the types of warranty contracts. Well, we erase all the filters and we go to a particular plant. In this case, Totana, where we'll find a lot of Totanas because we have different plants with similar name. We go to the Tama 5 and we can see just the sub-owning contracts. You see here some sub-owning contracts and modifications to this contract. We click on the first and see the main information of this contract with all the main dates, the start date, the initial date of the contract, what's the current date, if you have auto renewal or whatever, and also the roles, showing who is who in this contract. And if it's acting as a customer operator, what corresponds. You can also see what are the plans in which this contract applies. In this case, we only see one plan, but we have another examples. And the invoicing terms, the price of the contract. You can also click to download the PDF of the contract. Meanwhile, the document is downloading. We're going to see one of the awesome features of the software. That is, if you go here and click the link, you can see an HTML format of the contract with links, so you can navigate through the index and go directly to each part of the contract. And also access to the PDF page. And now we can access to the complete PDF downloaded. Okay, we go now to the last item in the menu, the contact items. And this is a really interesting screen. Here you can see all the clauses of all the contracts. and make searches. Use filters, use grouping. For example, we go to one contract, Juneda sub O&M. In this case, we search and we can see all the clauses that contains this contract. But okay, imagine we just want to see the clauses that are talking about insurance. We see a lot of different categories, including insurance, but we left whatever that are contained in the word insurance. And we see we have 4 classes in this case, and we can go directly to a clause in the contract and even go to the particular page on the PDF that contains this information, this clause. Well, let's see some interesting example on this screen. Imagine we look for the plant in Algodoliva, in this case, and we want to see all that is talking about price. In this case, we will see 2 different contracts, one O&M and one sub O&M, with 2 different initial annual prices. So we can compare between what we are receiving, the money we are receiving, and the money that we are paying for the O&M. We can also look for spare parts for one of every in one between these categories, talking about the spare parts, and organize it by contract, so we can compare what is saying the O&M contract regarding the spare parts and what is saying the sub O&M contract, what we subcontract with a partner to manage the spare parts. More things. We can use the grouping to see, for example, all the main sections in the contract of O&M and sub O&M. And better than that, we can organize by main type and subtype, and after that by contract. So we can make this exercise. What is saying the O&M contract and the sub O&M contract about security? And it's the same. We see in the upper part the O&M and in the lower part the sub O&M. Okay, let's erase all the filters and make another exercise. We want to see all the initial dates for the contract that starts in the last year. And that's it. Another interesting exercise that we can do is based on a real issue that we had. Luis Pascual, that now changed his role as director of operations, is included in a lot of contracts. So we can look into the content of all the clauses of all the contracts and see where you can find Luis Pascual. Of course, you can group to see the number of times that is named Luis Pascual in each contract, and for example, this can serve to modify the contract if needed. You have to change Luis Pascual in some clause, or to contact the customer and say, okay, now it's not Luis Pascual your contact, it's this new guy. Just to finish, I want to show you another extra feature, how to use advanced filters and export information. Okay, we want, for example, to see all the contracts that has the end date below the 30th of June of this year. So we introduce the filter, and we can order the list like this. Okay, and now we want to export this list with this filter. We go to export, and we use the standard option. The standard just add some extra information. But we want to export exactly what we are seeing on the screen. That creates a CBS file, that is an Excel file but separated by comma, and we just have to put it pretty, you know. These are the hiddens, and here we are. In Excel, same information of all the contracts that ends before June, the end of June of this year. And that's all. I hope you enjoyed the video and like the application. See ya!